she's doing it anyway.
Professional. Better than the other two we had last week.
But hey, listen, I ain't gonna say nothing about the one, but the other one,
The other one.
you pick and choose which one it was. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Welcome back to another week of A Long Way from Sunday.
Long way.
I am John Cotton, also Pastor Cotton, whatever you want to call me, John. Either way, I'm who I am. All right, and we're missing our boy Tony Cole on tonight, praying for him for a speedy recovery.
Yes,
Make sure he's getting the rest that he needs, and he's going to come back swinging, I'm sure, once he gets everything situated and fully recovered. We do have the other partner in crime on tonight, Chi-Town Vic.
The Donna Deacons. The Donna Deacons.
That's the kind of night it's going to be already. See, I'm already knowing we're going to have a good time tonight, man. How's it been going for you, though, bro?
Living life, virtual learning.
Living your life like it's golden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's golden. Yeah. Virtual learning with the kids.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's not fun, man.
It shows me that I ain't been in school in quite a long time.
You too?
Yeah.
You feeling that too?
Yeah.
It's like you thought you knew a bunch of stuff, and you were like, man, I made it through. And then they put them problems in your face, and you're like, man, I don't know what I thought I knew.
I'll give you a scenario. When I went to school and they taught us about nouns, noun is a person, place, or thing.
Yeah. Or idea.
Or idea?
Yeah.
When did you go to school? Because when I went to school, it was either a person, place, or thing. That was it, period. Now a noun is a person, place, or thing, or animal.
Okay.
That was different.
Interesting.
Now, when I learned about vowels, a vowel is A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y.
Yep.
Not no more.
Excuse me.
It's just A, E, I, O, U. They don't say nothing about sometimes Y.
All right, so they done kicked Y out the mix.
They kicked the Y out the mix.
Is Pluto still a planet?
No, Pluto is not a planet.
Okay, because I know it wasn't a planet then. I thought they did something that made it a planet again. Or something. It's like they keep, who is in charge of continually changing the way this stuff goes?
Is 2 + 2 still 4?
I don't know. I guess it depends on who you ask, apparently.
It depends on who is you talking
Man, who makes these changes, though?
Yeah.
And why?
I don't know. Educators.
Okay. All right, educators out there, we need y'all to be on the same page with us parents.
Right.
We can't take these changes.
Right.
All right, we're going to get into bed with y'all and help out, with the education of our youth and our children. We need y'all help. Don't be changing stuff once we get used to it.
Or send an email or something letting us know that the vowels are changing.
Man, something.
Something.
Or apparently what nouns are. But English is funny anyway. Like a lot of people they trash English language because it's so compacted, so like a lot of other languages have like different meanings of words, and it's like English is very compacted. So it's like it takes what used to be 5 words and makes it 1 word, and then it changes definitions on the fly. Even now with some things that are slang that wasn't slang before and vice versa.
Ain't.
Man, that's an actual word now.
It's an actual word.
I'm like,
now.
where'd that come from? That
Ain't.
was like a slap in the back of the head in school.
Yeah, I got hit before.
Man, you went to boarding school where you was?
Oh man, I went to Catholic school.
Oh man, yeah.
And Sister Mary Beth
every day.
Yeah, Sister Mary Beth and Sister Elizabeth, they didn't play.
Boy, you was staying getting whooped up. Boy, them yardsticks had all kinds of chips in them, didn't they? That's hilarious. Yeah, I could see you totally getting whoopings like regularly in there. And they had permission to too?
Yeah, and they had a big paddle.
Oh, Jesus.
A big paddle.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
I hope they ain't gonna get in trouble these years later.
Hey, I shouldn't say that. Never mind.
On that note, we're going to kick it off. We got a fun show on tonight. Today's topic that we're going to talk about is grown up temper tantrums.
Grown up temper tantrums.
Grown up temper tantrums.
I have them.
Man, brother, listen, if I could be honest, I think we all do. And it's funny, because with the whole virtual learning thing and the whole education from home, we already see our kids act up a certain kind of way anyway.
Yes.
But when they are stuck in front of a computer for a certain amount of time and they can't have the social, breaks that they probably are used to or the surroundings that they used to, man, you talk about some attitudes. Like they got some attitudes.
Yeah. And the one thing to me about it is I didn't know my kids knew computers the way that they know them. When my niece is supposed to be doing her math and I have to step away to do something for work, and when I come back, I see the screen flip in her, in her vision, her skin. I see the screen flip, and I'm like, "What you doing?" Nothing. I'm like, "Was you just on YouTube?" No. But then I get a text from her teacher saying she was just on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
But she's so fast with it,
Mm-hmm.
and she know how to erase the cookies.
Wow.
At 6, you erasing cookies?
Bruh. Listen.
At the cookies I was erasing at 6 came in a pack.
And it said Chips Ahoy on the front of it.
Absolutely.
Man, that's the day and age, man. Like, they are, like, born into it. You know what I mean? So it's like you see 2-year-olds that can work a tablet, you know, an iPad, like, second nature. You know, and it's just, that's the kind of the generation that we in now, man. They're born into it. And, you know, with that said, it's a lot of times that we notice that the things that they don't get, because they get so much. Like, there's so much stuff that just comes freely to them, but the things they don't, they pout quite a bit about, you know, and they're known for, I mean, even like the older ones be having temper tantrums. But I realized something the other day, man. I be having temper tantrums too sometimes, bro.
Really, Pastor?
Man, listen.
No,
you know,
not you.
You know, man, listen.
Not the cool, calm, collective Dr.
Here, man.
John Cotton.
Listen here, brother. You know, one of the most frustrating things to me as an adult, okay, is when I prepare to have a bowl of cereal.
Okay.
And I do everything that you know, you get the bowl ready, the right size bowl that's going to not be too much to make you too full, but not too little either, so to knock the hunger off. You know, you get the right flavor choice. You're like, man, you know, am I in the mood for like Cocoa Puffs, or do I, you know, I want some more? Well, you know, what do you want exactly? You do all of that.
Right.
But I didn't check the refrigerator to see if there was milk in there.
Did you pour the cereal out into the bowl?
Man,
already?
Listen, I got so mad. Bro, I just threw the whole bowl away, man. Cereal, bowl, everything. Just threw the whole thing away, man. I got so mad. Like, I was straight up having a moment. Like, it frustrated me to no end. Because, dude, my taste buds was ready. Yeah. Okay? I even, while I was doing some work, I was thinking about what I was going to have when I got home. And I was like, you know, I know there's some milk there. Because when I left, it was like at least a half a gallon. Yeah. You know, and I understand, man, these kids will eat you out of house and home, build you a new house, and then eat you out of that house and home. That's the way they eat now.
My 19-year-old, I was watching him go downstairs and eat the last pieces of chicken. Mm-hmm. I didn't say nothing. I just calmly watched him go down. He took the chicken out, heated it up. Yeah. You know, got him some sides, you know, a drink, and he went on his merry way. So I'm like, well, okay, no more chicken. I'm going to have to go out and get me something to eat. So I go grab me something to eat. Yeah. So I'm driving. Got the tunes on, and I get a call. It's him. I'm like, yeah, son, what can I do for you? You going to get something to eat, Dad? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get something to eat. Can you get me something? I'm like, didn't you just eat a couple pieces of chicken? Yeah, but I hadn't eaten nothing all day. But you just ate some chicken. That don't matter what you ate all day. You just ate some chicken. Right. He was like, can you please get me something, Dad? You know, I can't leave my son hungry. But I pondered that all the way to the drive, and I complained in my head. I had an adult temper tantrum.
And it's like, I'm starting to realize, bro, that we probably have them a lot more often than we like to admit or think. But I think the difference now is that we handle them better in most cases. You know, it's like when you were a kid, you really don't know all the nuances of how to hide emotion, or, you know, how to, you have more outlets that you have as an adult because you've lived more and you have access to more to be able to vent your frustrations or whatever have you. As a kid, you just you're gonna let people have it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna fall out.
I never picked the second part of that up.
Really?
Unfortunately.
Wow.
When you know when I'm mad, you know.
Yeah, you don't find another outlet. You're going to be my outlet.
Yeah, and I'm not bragging about it. I love you, baby, I do. But I can't hide my emotions. Right. You know, but I think that just makes my relationships the week before last ships, it makes my ships more genuine.
Yeah, and that's what's up, man. Yeah. And honestly, I think that, you know, for me, what I've started to realize is that, you know, when it comes down to how you express or how you, quote unquote, have a tantrum, because, I mean, you go down and listen, you can think about a lot of experiences that kind of pull them out, you know, road rage, you know what I'm saying? Because people in Milwaukee, I don't know what done happened over the last decade and a half, but bruh, like either people are just reckless and don't care about getting a license, or DMV is just handing them out just because.
I just think that, you know, I've seen reckless driving. I'm talking about just belligerent. Yeah. Like, I can't believe you even got a car. Bro. But they don't care about license. They don't even get license. Nope. I ride a motorcycle, and I could tell you a couple of motorcycle accidents that a few of my friends have been in have been hit by people with no license and tried to leave the scene.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm sure of it.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But driving used to be a privilege. You know, when I was 16 and got my license, or when I first got my first car, it was like, wow.
Right.
But now some kids nowadays think of cars, you are guaranteed. You get 16, 17, you guaranteed a car.
Oh yeah, yeah. It done shifted, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's because the appreciation isn't quite the same. Because like you said, it was you worked hard to make sure that you got the right, grades to even be able to go to driving school or driver's ed. Because you wasn't finna go to no extracurriculars if you didn't make sure the basics was done.
You had to make sure you had the right air freshener.
Yeah.
You had to make sure you had the correct set of tapes, not CDs,
right?
But
cassette
tapes.
Cassette tapes.
Cassette tapes.
Yeah.
But you care. You cared about vacuuming your car.
Absolutely.
I went to I saw my son's car before he got his new one. The one that I paid for, the one he trashed.
Yeah.
The one he played bumper cars in.
Yeah.
I looked at him like, man, this is ridiculous. But his new car.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's spotless.
Oh yeah, pristine.
Because he's paying for that.
Exactly. Yeah. It hit a little different. When you put in the bill. It definitely hits a little different.
He not burning gas. He ain't just driving no more.
Oh, yeah, you don't got to just go nowhere no more, huh?
No, not when you're paying for your own gas.
Yeah, it's funny how that changes. Yeah, and it was like, I'm learning that too with my daughter in college, man. It's funny how often you don't need to go out to eat anymore. It's like when you on mom and dad dime, restaurants is just like your normal language. But when you fend for yourself, or you got to fend for yourself for the most part, you start finding out, it is some food in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can make this and this can last.
I can heat this up.
Yeah, leftovers. Oh yeah, that's the thing.
Noodles, we got noodles.
Exactly.
I can get some of them noodles.
Yeah, it's way different.
Yeah.
And so it's like it just goes to me to just show that at different points in your life or different walks of life, you're going to have like different mentalities when it comes down to, what you appreciate and what you don't. And dare I say, I think that that's part of what causes tantrums, right? When you sometimes lose sight of the appreciation that you once had for something, right. And for me, I really had to think about, how I process stuff now. And like you said, I'm pretty laid back for the most part. I don't really get out of character or out of pocket. Not a lot of things, really jar me or shake me. Most things I'm pretty even keel about and pretty calm about. And that's because, from early on, I kind of really think ahead for the most part about what potentially could happen in a scenario. And because I think ahead a little bit about a scenario, little surprises me. And so when I'm not caught off guard, like, I don't like when something catches me off guard. I don't like to be unprepared for anything, and for me, it's like, I think that sometimes that's what causes people to react a certain way, because something catches them off guard and it's not the way that they wanted it to be or expected it to be, and it comes out as a tantrum, because realistically, that's what, when we see kids having it, it's something that they got told no for, or it's something that they expected or they wanted that didn't go the way they planned it to. And why would we think that would change just because we're grown? We call it all kinds of other stuff, but what I found also is that it could become very dangerous as an adult if we don't check our mindset when it comes down to, temper tantrums and stuff like that.
But the one thing I'll say too when it comes to that is, we were talking about this at work, and it's your surroundings that you come up in, the surroundings that you may be working in or things like that, because as you know, I was in the Navy, and I taught ships, and not boats, ships. So when you are in a military, when you're in combat, when you're in military situations or combat situations, you are I don't want to say rewarded, but you are not frowned upon based on your aggression. So if something happens that you didn't expect to happen, or something that takes you off guard, and you have that frustration and that anger kind of, or that frustration or that tantrum kind of fuels you.
Right.
And unfortunately, some of us don't like to admit it, but some people take that anger or that frustration, and when they let it out, it's kind of a release for them, or it makes them feel good.
Right.
So, as adults though, even, we know that that's not a proper way to act, or, so hopefully you have enough home training. Let me say that again. Home training to be able to suppress that and be able to deal with. But unfortunately, all adults don't process things that way. They don't.
They don't at all. And let me ask you this: do you think that some of it is spilled over from how they processed it as a kid?
I think it's taught from the parent.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like I said, it's that community. It's the community you grow up
the
in.
Environment.
Because if it's never checked, if it's never talked about, if it's never checked, or it's looked upon as being natural.
Yeah.
Oh, my mom used to go, and my mom used to go off.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You hear people saying, "Oh, my mama crazy."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't play with my mama. My mama crazy.
Exactly.
But they say it, and they've come to know that. So when they become mothers or they become fathers, then they take that cue from that parent.
Absolutely.
So we as adults, we really, and now in 2020, when we were talking about kids and their computers and how easily they pick things up, and we as adults need to be a lot more aware of what we are saying and what we are doing in front of these kids.
Absolutely.
And when we start talking about the pandemic and forcing families to be more together, and you can't go out, and eat, or you can't just go grab something to eat because everything is now closed again and everything like that. So now you are really in your kid's face,
and vice versa.
Yeah, and they really in your face. So you really have to see. You get to see what your kid is really doing in school when you. When you get them phone calls or emails when the kids were in school from these teachers talking about little Billy or little Debbie then acted a fool all day, and you like, not my kid. Oh, your kid. Your kid.
This one right here. Yeah. Junior, right here. He the one that's acting the fool, just tearing the classroom up. He's just breaking the chalk for no reason.
Junior. Yeah. Sammy Davis, Junior.
Got a lot of friends. That's a good point, though, man. I love the way, you explained that and broke that down, because I do feel like a lot of times the background that you come up in the community and all those different things, and dare I say, man, sometimes it's a good thing for you coming up in, a little bit less privileged backgrounds. Everybody's going to have a different opinion about that, but I can say, we didn't grow up easy, you know what I mean? But compared to some other people, we did grow up easy, and it's all based on the framework of what you have within your respective home. We struggled to a degree. I mean, my dad worked regularly and overtime and everything else like that, but sometimes, the situation that you're in, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, doesn't warrant you the lifestyle that maybe you feel that you want, but it taught us humility. And I think that sometimes when you come up without getting any and everything you ask for, you're more appreciative when you do get it,
I agree, but I think us as men, and I'm not saying, I'm saying real men. Real men. See, I don't need a lot of stuff. As long as my wife is happy, my kids got food on the table, they go to school clean it, or they clean, and my lights is on, and the heat work when I turn it on. I got gas in the car. I'm pretty good. Yeah. I don't need much more now. I like expensive things, but I'm not going out buying $1,000 motorcycle parts every week. I wish I could. But yet. Once this little TV show of ours pick up.
Hey man, listen. I'm just saying.
$ IDC gives again, just in case you want to give to the show. But I don't need a lot. So. That makes me feel good when I know that my family is taken. Yeah. That makes me feel
absolutely
good. And then if something ain't right, and I don't have big outbursts because I'm pretty much sure it can be taken care of.
Right.
But again, my sons, I got 19 and a 16-year-old son. I need to show. I have showed them, but I need to continue to show them as a man. Things are going to happen. Absolutely. You just have to be able to understand what's going on. Switch up a little bit, make your adjustments, and you keep on rolling.
And I think that leads me definitely to a point that I want to make. And I heard Minister Devin Franklin say this, and it really shifted my perspective on stuff, because like you said, as a man, you're passing that down. You're teaching them and showing them, hey, everything that glitters ain't gold, everything ain't always going to go the way you want it to. But how you deal with that can sometimes have repercussions that you don't even know about until they happen. So Devin Franklin said something that to me is very impactful. He said there are two things that are certainly in your control: how you prepare for what's going to happen and how you respond once it's already happened. And to me, man, that was just very profound, because if you think about it, in the grand scheme of stuff, a lot of times those two things are realistically what we have like full control over. We can choose to blow our top if we want to, after something happened. But if we take the time sometimes to prepare in advance, of what could potentially happen, and you ain't gonna be able to prepare for everything, obviously.
You can't.
You don't know what tomorrow holds,
Absolutely.
but you can develop a mentality that becomes prepared, a mentality that says, okay, I understand that in life some things are gonna happen unexpected. I understand that some bad things are gonna happen. I understand some good things are gonna happen. And how I prepare in either one of those scenarios, because if you get fixated on everything being good, you can become cocky, and you basically get spoiled to the fact that everything is going to be good. So that's not healthy, but it's also not healthy to just be without for your whole life, because then, you forget, or you sometimes suppress how to expect good things to happen.
But the crazy part about that is, though, Pastor, when you say that, you can have so much bad happen to you in your life that you think the good is, this is strange.
Yeah. I think we even talked about that before.
And you will even say the good is bad.
Mm-hmm.
The bad is good and the good is bad.
Yeah.
When you I think the movie was called Inception with Leonardo
DiCaprio,
DiCaprio, and how people would they dream so much that the dream becomes their reality, and the reality is the dream.
Mm-hmm.
And that could easily happen.
Oh yeah, be in the Matrix, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And people think people think these movies are so far fetched and old, but it's people out here really believe in this stuff.
Absolutely, right.
And hey, you can believe something so much, even though it's wrong. The sky's blue. You grew up 40 years knowing the sky's blue, but if somebody convinced you the sky's red at 40, you're not going back to the sky's blue.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to the fact that once you become comfortable with something, no matter if it's good or bad, it becomes your normal.
Yeah.
And we seldom like voluntarily to have our normal disrupted. So for the most part, if it becomes your normal, at least you know how to deal with that version of normal, right? Even if somebody else looking in might say, that's horrible or that's bad. Well, that's your normal, so you've gotten used to how to deal with that. You may have picked up some skills or things like that make what was bad good. So you know what I'm saying? It's like you're going to have a whole different perspective about how to deal with this, because to you this is what's been normal. And like you said, as crazy as it may seem, sometimes when something good is there, it's bad because it disrupts your normal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It disrupts your ebb and flow of how you deal with stuff or how you do stuff. And so we got to be real careful a lot of times. I mean, one of the hardest things I think that I was reading, and we actually had a message about it not too long ago, maybe even this past week. But I came across a scripture that talked about how we have to bring our thoughts into captivity. Like we literally have to arrest our thoughts. And I thought about that, and I was like, man, I wonder how much of our thought process would change if we took the time to actually say, okay, I'm not going to let that thought get too far ahead, or I'm not going to let that thought, run my life. I'm going to run my thoughts, and I think a lot of times our thoughts can be so wild and it can be so outlandish, and we can literally lose control because our thoughts just start running, and then they're fed by what we see, what we hear, by negative reports, by media, by fake news, by real news. It's impacted by so much that it feeds this big beast, that eventually just almost comes down to be like a mental breakdown.
I remember, Pastor, me and you were talking a few months ago, and you were telling me how, when you allow foolishness into your head or into your mind, you start having real crazy, outlandish thoughts.
Yeah.
Because you've allowed foolishness in, and not necessarily about that one particular thing that you're thinking about.
Right.
But when you leave the doors open for foolishness, that can anything can happen. So,
sure can.
But that comes from, though, we as adults, we have to take responsibility for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And quit blaming so-and-so and quit blaming this particular scenario, and take responsibility for yourself.
Brother.
And I say that to say, sometimes, we used to work in Pewaukee or in Brookfield, right?
Yeah.
And every day I would take the same way home. The same way home. If somebody was trying to get me, they know which way I'm going. So you know what I started doing?
All right, Officer Vic is on 164 right now.
Don't worry, I got my license plates off and my windows are tinted. But so I started going the other way, not for nobody following. That's not what I'm saying.
No,
but
I got you.
Just to do something different.
Yeah.
You might not be able to change. And I heard people say this. you might not be able to change your situation that you're in right now, but you can change the road that you on taking you to that situation.
Yes, sir. That's good.
So if you do something different, you're going to get a different outcome.
Yeah.
You cannot continue to get the same outcome doing something completely different than what you've always been doing. You're going to get a different outcome. So if you're looking for something different, if you're really craving something different, then do something different.
Absolutely.
That's a T-shirt.
Man, do something.
Do something different.
Do something, be like real big, and then different, be smaller.
I mean, because the different could be small, though.
Yeah.
The big thing is to do something.
Come on here, man. Go ahead, flip that around, man. Sell that merch.
You sell that merch. We're going to have T-shirts along this wall
man, like it was just pointing to the shirts like, do something different.
You
That's
made
real,
a great point. The big thing is not the something. It's the do something.
That's right. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, I agree, man. I love that. I love everything about that, man. That's put a bow on it, man. Send it out for Christmas.
Do
that's
something
good stuff.
different.
And that's, I think, what, like the mentality that we have, man, is really what can determine how we react to stuff, man. And I was thinking, it's funny to me as I think about it now, but the way I process like everything is I always think about what does God think towards us, and so for me, and here's where I'm going with that. So, because it frustrates me sometimes when my kids be like, they don't realize how good they have it, right? And so when they be like having fits or having attitudes, I'll be like, you little ungrateful, like you have no idea what it took. But on the flip side, do God be feeling like that with us sometimes? Be like, man, I done sent my son to die for you. I done made heaven and earth and everything else. Man, go to your room. Like, what if he grounded us, sent us to our room, man? Like you feel sometimes like, what if, and that's really what to me makes my mindset shift a lot of times. I'm like joking, but being serious too. It's like, man, what does God think? Because if he feels like I feel towards my kids, I got to check my behavior. You're like, real talk, that's what keeps me checking my behavior more regularly. It's seldom what other people think is really, really what God thinks. And that's before being a pastor or any of that stuff, just being a man and being a man of God, man. It's just ultimately what does God think? Because I would hate for him to put me on timeout. I'd hate for him to be the one that has to lay down the whooping and everything else like that, man.
But isn't that what you was explaining to me about what grace really is?
Man, yes.
I mean,
Yeah, we were just talking about it.
We were just talking about that, what grace really is.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And that grace is what allows us to be in that mental time or that proverbial time out.
It's that grace period.
It's that grace. It's God's grace.
Yeah.
And I don't think we as human beings, or some of us, really don't understand how good God's grace is and how much it covers us.
Yeah.
I go to church. But I'm not very, you know what I'm saying? I'm not,
absolutely.
But at the same time, God's grace and the way you explained it to me is just amazing. And how can you not love that?
Right.
We talk about, what if God put us in timeout? And I was telling you, when you told me to quit my job. I'm just joking.
I was gonna say, let's rewind.
But
disclaimer: I did not tell him to quit his job. I'm gonna just let people know that.
But the thing is, you told me that I should step out on faith.
Right.
Whatever that is.
Exactly.
Whatever you in your heart, whatever I in my heart came out to see what that was.
Thanks for cleaning that up, man.
Yeah, no, I'm just messing with you guys. But the thing is, I was saying, I was saying, with God, I believe, and I was going to call you the other day and say this, but there's different levels with God. Okay. And let me explain that.
Yeah, break it down, man.
God wants you to trust in him, right? And trust and believe that what you have asked for, or what you've talked with him about, or what you prayed about, that he will, in some shape, form, or fashion, get you to that, or get you somewhere close.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just level one. So me, making $80,000 a year or $80,000+ a year in corporate and going to a non-for-profit and making half of that. But me and my family haven't stumbled or one little bit.
Yes, sir.
That's good. And that's because of God's grace. And I asked him for that, right?
Yeah.
So if I asked him, if your kid asks you for something, Daddy, can I have $50?
Yeah.
And you were like, man, come on, I just gave you $50. Yeah. But Dad, I really need that $50, and you give it to them. And then they go get whatever they're going to get, and a couple of days later they ask you for $40. You're like, well, what about that $50? Well, what about it? I just gave you $50.
Right.
Like a slap in the face. So if I ask God for something and he gives it to me, and I don't take it and I don't follow, or that's like a slap in the face.
For real. Absolutely.
So that's just the first level. Whatever that first level is for you believing that in God's grace and that He's going to take care of you. I believe my family hasn't stumbled because I've taken that first step.
Right.
That's just the first step. It don't stop there.
Exactly.
You know, you have to take it to the next level.
Absolutely.
And then the next level.
Absolutely.
And as you grow in those levels in Christ, your relationship gets better with Christ.
Absolutely.
So you will, as you should have believed it in the beginning, but it's not more of a, if I pray for this, is it going to happen?
Right.
You know something going to happen.
Exactly.
Because something has happened in the past.
Absolutely.
And it's going to continue to happen.
Yep.
So you just have to be able to, as adults, we have to be able to train our minds to really understand what's going on. I know I was long-winded, but
no, man, that was good stuff, though, man. Yeah, man, that's that preacher in your heart, man.
I got you there.
Yeah,
but it's just it's not even fun. You know, you say not being funny. You know, it's not funny because it's real life. It's happening in real life,
absolutely,
real
man.
time.
Absolutely. And I think that we don't sometimes take that perspective. We don't take that approach of really appreciating what grace is, and really knowing that, we will appreciate a grace period from, bill collectors, but, grace periods aren't meant to be permanent. No. You know what I'm saying? They're to help you until you come into the knowledge of, and my friend Pastor James Buford, we were having a discussion with that too, and he brought that up to me. He was just like, a grace period is designated for you to reconcile what you owe. We owe God our life, right? And so grace helps us be able to come to the knowledge and the information and understanding of what it is that He wants for us. But the expectation is, like you said, to grow in it, and not just to rely on this one act or this one moment. I've got to do something for it. I've got to work for it. And I think that sometimes that's what can cause, our attitudes to be kind of off kilter. When we have a sense of self-entitlement, like, it belongs to me and I deserve it. We got to be very careful when it comes down to claiming things versus expecting everything to be the way I want it to be. It's cool to claim things, and I'm a big firm believer, man, that, you definitely can speak things into the atmosphere and you begin to work towards them and they'll come to pass. But I also know that if you sit back just waiting for everything to happen and don't allow God to actually work through you, you'll be sitting around waiting forever. And that's the thing I think that's different with what you did. You was like, okay, I feel in my heart something that, I'm feeling a pull at purpose and, I'm not fulfilled where I am. And even though this dollar sign and this bag is over here, I got to trust that fulfilling my purpose and following my heart and doing, ultimately, that's what we talked about. It wasn't you should do this, because ultimately it's one of the things that you have to search your heart and align with God's purpose for you. Right. But here you are, like you said, you're not struggling or stumbling for anything. And the cool thing is that everything that we encounter in life, whether we are young or old, it becomes an experience that can be used for such a time as is necessary. And we don't a lot of times play that card, but the reality is the skills you have can always get you a high-paying job. It can always get you doing this, but how often can you say that I stepped out on faith and actually pursued something that not only made my quality of life better, but somebody else's quality of life better? And I think that's what we forget sometimes, is that we're not here just to have our lives be better. We are here to make a change and an impact within the world. Right. And that's where fulfillment begins to come from. Right. You can only be so content with making yourself better. At some point, you're going to have to come to the realization that I'm here to help other people along the way too, in whatever capacity that takes. It's not always financially, because there have been instances, you said this with your homeboy, and he had fell on some hard times, and you was like, he taught you no is okay, right? But we sometimes don't take into consideration that no can lead somebody to a permanent yes, or put them in a place that actually is better. And, that kind of brings everything full circle again into the whole temper tantrum thing. It's like, because people pout and they want their way the way they want their way, they end up not even getting a chance for somebody to actually fulfill what it is that they need, because their attitude is foul, or their demeanor is foul, or their personality is just trash. You know what I'm saying?
You remember this when you went through your when you were at AT&T and you were going through your
I was at a telecommunications company.
Telecommunications company. When you were at that telecommunications company.
Man, it's live. We got to figure out how to edit this
post.
That,
and you had to go through your obs. Remember you went through your observations?
Oh, man.
And
I hated call obs.
Yeah, you hated call obs, right? You hated it.
I hated them.
But the thing is, though, you didn't really know. Mm-hmm. It was designed for you to stumble. Yeah. But how did you feel when you got through it?
Oh, man, it was, whoo, felt like I ran a marathon and, man, did the record.
But you had to put in work to get there.
I had to, man. I did. And I had to get familiar with the course material too, man.
Right.
You know, because for those that don't know, you know, call observations, it was a metric that we both had to go through. And we even were coaches in that in some aspects too, as service leaders and everything. So a call op is when your supervisor would literally either sit next to you or they remotely listen without you knowing to your behaviors on the call. Because we was in sales, all right? So the objective was to be able to make sure we hit all of the points that were on this sheet and make sure that each of those were in a way that led to a sale ultimately. Awesome. At the end of the day, whatever you was going to do, it should be leading to a sale, okay? If somebody's internet went down, you should be selling them another internet, okay? If somebody's...
As a backup.
Yeah. If somebody's bill was jacked up, well, the answer to your bill is a new bundle.
Yeah.
All right, so you have to be prepared for whatever it was to still be able to sell in that situation. But the cool thing, like you said with that, is that though I hated it, it made me better at my job. Right? It made me more successful at my job. If I take what's uncomfortable and I work at it to the point where, okay, I understand that, okay, this is what it's saying. How do I make this fit me? How do I allow this to fit me? If I don't understand, I go to the source. I go to my boss. I go to my manager. Just like us. If we don't understand something, we read in the Bible, right? We understand the source material. But if we don't understand something, that's what we pray for. We go to God for. Like, hey, my boy, I need to understand this a little bit better. Can you endow me with some understanding and some wisdom? Help me know what I don't know.
Just a little light.
Just a little light. Shine your light on me. Just
shine on me.
Let me see a little something, okay? That song is in your spirit. One of these weeks, we're going to have you just sing the whole thing, something to amen. Because it's been in your heart,
Turn up
man.
the lights.
Man, it's been in your heart, bro.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it now.
Man, you feel the light shining?
I feel it shining on me now.
But, you know, it's like it's cool that sometimes even when you don't like something and in those moments, if you take that minute to not act out, and that's what we're talking about when it comes down to the tantrums, man. Take a second. Don't act out. You know what I'm saying? Just fall back for a minute and be like, okay, what's the best way to process this? And I've learned, man, a lot of the things in our lives happen because we don't have patience. Yeah. You know, if we would be a little more patient about stuff, because patience and perspective are two things to me that we don't have enough of as a culture, as a people, as, you know, because one, a lot of times people are in a rush to get nowhere fast, you know, but everybody wants to get there.
Hurry up and wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Hurry up and wait.
Exactly. And then perspective, you know, actually being able to see something from somebody else's standpoint. I brought this example up one time, and realistically, we have this thing where we're not really concerned with what it took for you to be where you are. Just be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you say you're going to be here tonight, right, and for something that I had no idea about, something happened that was valid, and you don't come, it's still gonna hit me, right? Because I needed you to be here. Right. You know, and we don't want to admit that sometimes because we can feel like we're being overly petty, but there's nothing wrong with admitting to the fact that, hey, you know, no matter what the situation was, I needed you to be there. But it's also humbling because it gives me an opportunity to be more understanding. And it's like basically both things happening at the same time, if that makes sense. It's like, okay, the initial frustration leads me to a point of clarity that I can say, man, I need to be more understanding that sometimes life happens, and it can lead me to a way of being more prepared for things as they come along.
But I think, I agree with everything you said, Pastor, and to piggyback on that is the fact that you have to be able to appreciate the bad.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I get you.
One of my mentors told me that he never wants to overreact in any situation, because when you overreact, you tend to miss an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to keep yourself open to every opportunity, good or bad. Right. Because you will never know how to react to a bad opportunity if you never have anything bad to actually happen. Right. And you know, that's why in the relationship with God, if everything was good, you'll never know what to thank God for, because everything was good. Okay. And when something bad happens, you know what? I thank God for that, because you know what it does? It helps me remember that I need to put my faith, and I need to remember to always continue to put my faith in God in the good times and the bad. Absolutely. Because that's what gets you through those bad times. You know, like you know, like your 401k, you steady stacking that extra. Yes, sir. But when you know it's something bad and you need to dip into it, God gonna be there for you to dip into.
Yes, sir.
So you just have to be able to really take the good with the bad.
That's right. Facts of life.
take the good, you take the bad, you wrap them up, and then you have facts of life. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
When the word, I just want to sing.
I see, man. Like, we're going to have to get them. Don't be surprised if on one of these any given Sundays, you see Vic up here.
If you see me up here with an acoustic guitar.
Yeah, it's one of these. It's burning it's sizzling in your spirit, man. You feel like you got to get something out. It's sizzling in your spirit a little bit. It's getting out there. But yeah, man, I think overall, man, that's a very good point, man. You know what you were saying, just overall, even with what your mentor said. I think that sometimes we got to slow down for a moment to really appreciate the things that happen, because, like I said, I would hate to send the reaction to God the way that sometimes our kids do to us. You know. Man, and people can say what they want to, man, and it's like sometimes people feel like you're making fun, but I am absolutely not making fun. But I literally think that I'll be looking at it sometimes like, you know what, you got one more time. Like straight up, like he be on, like you sometimes, like we be tripping.
Oh, yeah.
Like we be like really expecting like so much with having done so little, man. And, in my adult life, like I said, man, you change the things that bother you just because, again, you have access to do more, but there's still going to be some things in life that you just don't have control over. And I think those are the things that are best suited in preparation with living in God's hands. The things that you have no control over, there's so many things that happen that you will literally just go out of your mind. If you can go down the list of the things that, man, I can go down a list of the things that make me upset on a daily basis, but I don't react to them. I get bothered when I go to Wingstop and they don't fry my wings hard when I say extra well done. I get bothered when I say
extra seasoning. I want extra seasoning.
You asked for it.
Fry hard, wet.
Or dry.
Yeah.
Whatever you choose.
I want mine fry hard, wet. They know me when I call. They know my number.
Yeah.
Is this Vic? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You want them the same way? Yep. 10 fry hard, extra seasoning.
It bothers me.
Yeah, it does.
It irks you because you done just like with the cereal thing. Yeah. You done got the preparation. I mean, that bothers you.
And then too, since this pandemic, everybody is getting the orders wrong.
Bro, and it's like, to me, I don't understand. I guess they weren't prepared for the over the phone experience.
No, my thing is this: if I pay you $30 for a steak on my anniversary, you don't think I want my rolls? And I mean, it didn't dawn on you to put the rolls in the bag.
I guess not.
I want my rolls. I want my hot butter rolls.
You want your rolls? You $30 for that, man.
It was my anniversary,
Yeah,
now my wife looking at me like I didn't order the rolls.
Yeah, I can see your frustration.
But
that struck a chord, man.
Yeah. I don't even know what we're talking about, but
we're just talking about just the daily basis of stuff, man. Like the things will bother you like regularly, man, and it's so much that happens that continually presses a nerve. Or presses the button. That's what we're talking about.
I'm back.
Yeah, we're gonna find our way back.
But if you had the opportunity to control everything, would you want it?
Man, I had a conversation with somebody about that.
Tell me about it.
Bro, I said this, man, and it's funny, and just tying everything back into God again. It's like we sometimes try to play the role of God with controlling everything. Right. But the reality is, man, like there was a movie that to me sums it up, and it was Bruce Almighty. You've seen that a while ago. It was like everybody always figures that, just getting everything you want and being able to have the power to do any and everything comes with no strings attached. But what you don't understand, man, is that if you literally are responsible for controlling everything, you have to also be able to sit in that seat of accepting all of the things that come with that. And realistically, I'm thankful to God that he chooses to allow us to hand that over to him. He gives us charge over a whole lot of stuff, and we got free will, we got choice, and I'm thankful for that. But I would not want the responsibilities that God has when it comes down to choosing all of these things. And we get mad because we don't know how it's going to work out. So ultimately, I think that's why we say that we wish we could control everything. But let's be 100 for a minute. We done been in control of some stuff and then jacked a whole lot of things up because we've been in control of it.
I done messed a whole lot of stuff.
Whole heap of stuff.
Whole lot of stuff up, being in control.
Man, for real.
Yeah. When I met my wife and she said that she would take over the bills, I graciously gave them over.
Man, listen. Yeah. It's a relief.
I'll work every day. Yeah. As long as you pay these bills.
I make the money. I make the beans. I make the rice. I do. Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. I do. But I don't want to be responsible for paying these bills.
Yeah.
So she does a great job, and I don't mind going to work.
Right, and the benefit is that you both win because of that.
Well, that's the relationship.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
that's that communication.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's why, and it all comes back to communication. If you really want to, me and my 6-year-old niece had a conversation about virtual learning, and she was like, "Well, my teacher told me if I read, I'll learn everything I need to know." I'm like, I say, no. I said, you have to listen. Yeah. If you listen, then you will be able to pretty much learn everything. Now, you still got to read. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Reading is fundamental. But you have to listen. If you read everything and took everything you read to be truth, how do you fact check?
True.
Because everything you've read, you're thinking is correct. But you have to listen to people that know. Yeah. So if you have,
and it helps with retention to do both.
Absolutely. Because if I told you everything, you wouldn't retain it because I told it to you. Yeah. You didn't have the opportunity to read it for yourself and formulate it in a way that your mind could process it and that it would stick.
Yep, and vice versa.
You know, when she when she was like in K4 or K5 and she was learning how to spell, she'll spell clapping. She'll cat, C-A-T. And I'm like, why is this girl sitting here clapping? And then she might say purple, and she'll say it a little faster. Purple. You know, I'm like, is you okay with it?
And see, the schools done taught her how to be that what you not gonna do.
What you not gonna do?
See, we didn't even know they was teaching them that at an early age. Now you done applied that part of life.
It's the hot stuff, Cheetos, Funyuns, and chips.
Got that attitude and that fire and them clapping mechanisms.
You know my niece.
Man, listen,
you know her.
Listen. That is a little grown up.
Yeah, you know her.
Listen.
But the thing is, she learns it in a way that it makes it stick to her. Right. So people were like, why stop all that clapping? I don't. Whatever learning technique that you've come up with. Right. Because again, adults don't train their mind to learn something in a way that
absolutely. That is so true.
So at 6,
for real. Yeah.
At 6 you're doing it? So you have no excuse at 36.
For real. But yet and still.
But that's just the amazement of God and how he allows us to think and how he allows us to process things. Even the little children have a way that they process things and understand things. Absolutely. You know, when we first got them, the teacher at the school, because they had my older boys, he looked at the little girl. He said, "Y'all are so," because we had them. Right. She looked at them and they were like, "You are so lucky. You could have been anywhere, but you are with your aunt and your uncle, and you are so lucky." That's good. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah. You know, because as a parent, you saw how we raised our boys. Now, these girls are totally different. Completely. I don't know if anybody got daughters out there.
Hello.
You do? Yeah. Girls are very different than boys.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Very different.
Absolutely.
But, again, that's just as they learn and you watch them grow, it's just an amazement how things go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's facts, man. And I think that, that brings us to a good point, to kind of start, wrapping it up, man. It's
wrap it up, B.
Yeah, it's just, I think that the more you open your mind up to the fact that it's not just about your own way of doing stuff, the more prone you will be to not have an attitude when things don't go the way you think they should. Yeah. And it's not always saying that, definitely not saying that you should be a doormat or that you should just, settle back and take everything.
It's okay to be disappointed. Yeah. But when that disappointment turns into anger and then that anger turns into a full-blown fit. Exactly. Now you
got to check some stuff. And you got to reevaluate. Right. Yeah, you got to reevaluate at that point, man. So I think that ultimately, man, if we would just kind of recalibrate, some of the things that even that, we look at on a daily basis. And man, for me, one exercise that I've started doing is daily. I start looking at moments that I didn't react the way that I know to be in character. Man, and I start doing that and I reflect. So I have this reflection moment now in my day. Yeah, I look back and I'm like, okay, and I'm starting to notice that things and trends that I did before are starting to whittle away. Sometimes, because you can get so caught up and so busy. And one thing I will say, And a lot of people have different perspectives, man, but I've never been afforded this opportunity that the pandemic strangely has afforded me to actually reflect on my thoughts and actually think about stuff in depth. Like I actually got time to think about stuff. And, this reflection has been just eye-opening for me because I can look back and say, man, I didn't handle that the best. Or, hey, I didn't do that the best. And it's causing me to, repair maybe some relationships that, would normally have been glazed over or skimmed over. And it's caused me to sometimes change habits or behaviors that were okay, but now that I got time to be like, okay, I need to focus on that, I'm able to be proactive. And I think that now if we would take that time and take this moment to actually be like, yo, let me take a day of self-reflection. And even in the mornings, something that's working is before I start the day, part of my prayer is that God would open up my understanding. Because one thing that I found, bro, that we sometimes lack and causes more issues than not is lack of understanding. And we get mad when we don't understand stuff. And so if we don't understand something, it causes us to react in a way that we wouldn't normally. So it's like, God, help my understanding. Help me to understand things from a better perspective and not just react, but help me to actually apply the wisdom that you give me. And so that when I look at this situation, I look at this person, if I look at this condition, I'm able to look past the surface and see that there's more at work because of that. And it gives you a heart that beats after people.
Well, that's because, Pastor, you all jokes aside, you care.
I do.
You care enough to want to better yourself. And, if we, as just people, took the time to really just care about ourselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
To be okay with saying no sometimes, because in the long run, that no is going to be for the betterment of you. Then you'll tend to treat people a little bit differently. And when you treat just that, just do something.
Yeah.
Different.
And on the flip side of the saying no, also being open to saying yes sometimes.
Well, yeah.
Because some people don't have no problem saying no, but they don't open themselves up to the possibility of yes.
But some people say, like yourself, I believe that you would try to say yes to everybody if you could.
Oh, man, listen, I have a better half and God knows who to link up with who.
Absolutely. Okay?
Because, yes, you're absolutely correct. A lot of times, man, I will say yes without even thinking about stuff. And that's part of that reflection period. Because now I have to realize, okay, what is my wife going to say about this yes that I just willy-nilly said, and I didn't even check to see if it's cool with her? And listen, Lady Cotton is a sweet woman. Lady Cotton is a beautiful woman. Lady Cotton is a patient woman. But Lady Cotton also got that fire, all right? And so
when she let that hair bun down, I believe
Listen
that
here.
It just goes
Listen
all
here.
out the window.
You can say what you want to about whatever the style is that brings it on, but I've learned to avoid future friction, to be wise, and sometimes that no brings peace in my home. But, for the flip side, there are sometimes, a lot of people that are so scared to say yes to opportunities or say yes to a potential moment that could do stuff, that they're so closed off that they use that no as a safety blanket. So, I just want people to be open to both, and balancing out the yeses and the nos.
You got to balance it out.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful balance.
Yeah.
It's a sweet balance.
It's a beautiful thing. Sweet balance.
Beautiful.
It's another shirt. Well, listen, we want to thank everybody again for tuning in.
I just want you to know.
I think we're going to have to work on a theme song or something for Brother Vic to be able to just get these pipes out, man, because he got singing in his heart. But we definitely thank everybody for tuning in. Listen, we're trying to build this platform. We need your help. So
Absolutely.
We want to make sure that all that are tuning in, that you share, that you like, that you love,
share,
that you
like.
Also, give comments, suggestions, ideas for the show.
Absolutely.
Different things that you'd like to have. Of course, as always, we'd love for you to support it so that we can invest in other things as well. You can do that by just sending a $ IDC give in any denomination. It could be $1, to a dime. We good. Just whatever is put on your heart to bless us with, we appreciate it.
We'll take the kind that jingles, but we'd rather have the kind that folds.
This man, God bless you. We love you.
Jesus loves you. Yeah. Jesus is a rock in
a
the weary land.
This has been a long way from Sunday. Signing off, I'm John.
I'm Don of the Deacons, Vic.
All right, and you be blessed.